Welcome to the best of first-person episodes from Phantoms and Monsters. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of all future uploads.
That winged humanoid encountered near Hamilton, Montana. This account took place in 2010. I was living in Hamilton, Montana with my current girlfriend. It was late at night and my friend and I would always go for a drive. We parked at an empty parking lot outside of a gym that was on the outskirts of town. My friend had his medical marijuana card and he would smoke while we talked about random stuff. We worked together, workplace drama was usually the discussion. After we were done hanging out, I started my car to head back into town. We started heading towards the outlet to take a ride onto the main street. I was about 50 feet away from the outlet when I decided the mood called for some loud music. To give you an idea as to what our field of view was, the outlet had two white fences on each side that spanned the property. It was one of those fences that had two logs with spaces in between them, so vision was partially blocked on the right and left side. Granted, it was pretty damn dark. That is when crap hit the fan. Out of the corner of my eye, I see what appeared to be a dusty brown ball of plastic or garbage that rolled into view from the other side of the right fence. We were driving closer as this was happening, but as soon as I got a better look, I knew this was not a piece of garbage blowing in the wind. I immediately realized it was a winged flesh-like creature that appeared to have crash-landed during flight. I thought my eyes were deceiving me, and I immediately turned to my friend, who let out one of the most blood-curdling screams I have heard in my entire life. I kept looking at him and looking back at this thing. My friend was so scared he flew his legs into the air, up against the passenger window and windshield, as if that would shield him from this creature we were approaching. I kept repeating, "What is that? What is that?" As soon as the creature came to its senses, it planted its feet and took off flying in the opposite direction of my car. At this point I stopped the car and all I remember is heavy breathing from both my friend and I, from the adrenaline, as we watched the silhouette of this thing fly away. The wingspan on this creature was at least 6 to 8 feet wide. It seemed to have webbing like a bat, no feathers. We watched it until it was not visible, which took a good while. Montana still has a decent amount of light pollution, and we could see the contrast of this creature in the sky for 2 to 3 minutes before it disappeared. I remember my friend told me, "Please just take me home." We took off and headed back into town. I just kept asking, "What was that? What was that?" I don't think there were more than a few words spoken between us at that point. I just kept asking, "What was that? What was that?" He would respond with, "I don't freaking know, man." I dropped him off. I went home and told my girlfriend, who was laughing at how animated and serious I was when telling her what happened. The next day, I woke up and immediately called him. I asked him, "What did you see?" I wanted him to tell me first so that what I had to say did not influence him in his recollection of this creature. He told me it was a flesh-like creature. It was not a bird, there were no feathers. I asked him, "What color was it?" He told me, "Brownish sand." I said, "Sort of gray." He said, "Oh my gosh, yes." I no longer talked to this friend as he slipped into an unfortunate issue with prescription pills. I wish we still had a friendship, as I have wanted to talk to him about this event since it has happened. We both saw the exact same thing. I am the type of person to laugh in the face of ghost and paranormal stuff. If I don't see it, I don't believe it. I still to this day cannot explain what I saw. I still get chills when thinking about my friend's scream. The way I describe this thing is a gigantic bat humanoid with wings. There was not one feather on this flying creature. I mention this because anyone I tell this story to tells me I probably saw a bird of some sort. I remember this creature being slightly hairy. My theory as to why it was rolling around on the ground as if it crash-landed out of the sky. I think my subwoofer sound system might have messed with its navigation, and that is another reason I feel it might have been a gigantic bat. Can you help explain what I might have seen? Has anyone had similar experience with gigantic bat-like creatures? It might be worth mentioning Rocky Mountain Labs is in Hamilton, Montana. This is one of the highest security laboratories in the world. My ex-boss's ex-husband works there, and the only thing she knew about this job was that he took care of the animals. The deadliest diseases are held in this lab, and there are monkeys and other animals that are used for testing. SC.
Giant bat-winged humanoid sighted in Downers Grove, Illinois. Though I've spoke of my encounters at least 1,000 times, I've always attributed the sightings to a giant owl or bat of some kind. I realized today that this creature was way too big to be any bird. Anyway, about 2011 or so, in the fall, my brother-in-law and I were sitting around a small bonfire in my backyard on a beautiful Indian summer night, enjoying what was left of the nice weather. All of a sudden, my brother-in-law whispers, "Dude, check that out." I slowly turned to look toward the south where he seemed to be focused and asked what he was looking at. He said, "Look at the big oak 2 houses down." I did as he started lining me up using a few landmarks, and just then I noticed what he was looking at about 20 feet up in the tree. This huge creature seemed to kind of jump, maybe dead drop out intentionally. It fell forward, spreading or opening what looked more like bat wings or a cape than a set of wings. They never closed or even flapped before this thing disappeared behind the fence. In other words, it glided from at least 20 feet up almost straight down until it disappeared behind the fence. There was no noise from the tree branches, not a crackle from the leaves it landed on, nor a sound from anything. None at all, dead silence. Needless to say, because both of us seeing the same thing, we were freaked out. We quickly went inside, trying to rationalize the whole thing. We decided we'd call it a big owl from then on. I've always thought it was something other than a bird. He and I will still occasionally joke about that night being the Batman experience. My other encounter happened several miles from here, alone driving to my favorite spot on the Kankakee River southbound on I-55, crossing the Illinois River Bridge at dawn. Something flew out from under that bridge right across my line of sight, completely covering my windshield, blocking my forward sight for a second, then it was gone. In that case, all I know is that thing was also huge, and seemed to be brown in the new morning light. Mike.
Lawndale, Illinois. Thunderbird witness comes forward. I saw the 2 Thunderbirds in Springfield, Illinois the day before Marlon Lowe was attacked in Lawndale, Illinois. This is no joke. I told my father and family and they all laughed. But in the next day or two, when it hit the local news, they changed their tune. Several friends of mine and I went on a hike following Spring Creek from Washington Park due southwest, about as far as we could, until we reached a muskrat dam. We decided to hike back from there. Along the way back, the big birds flew due north directly over our heads, as we stumbled along the small trail alongside the creek. And when I say directly over our heads, that means 10 feet in the air above us. I have never disclosed this story publicly, but I feel it should be known after seeing the countless shows on the TV, and the ridicule endured by Marlon and his family. What more can I say? Probably, a lot more. I met John Huffer briefly, one time at a powwow in Riverton, Illinois. His film at Lake Shelbyville cannot be discounted. I've had enough of the debunker idiots. Until you have stared one down at the proximity that I did, you will never understand what changed your life and perception of the reality we live in. I have looked at websites concerning the phenomenon of the Thunderbirds, and I'm not quite satisfied with all the results. Much of it is outdated. Nevertheless, I'm still here, and as the show about UFOs said, I know what I saw. Nowadays, with the proliferation of camera phones and video cams, hopefully someone will get better footage of the Thunderbirds, Bigfoot, UFO and the like. Since the 70s, it has definitely gotten a lot better. How do they say it? Focus. Also, hold the damn camera steady. I only wished I had one that day, but I never expected to see what I saw. I also recall that the big birds roosted in a large tree similar to John Huffer's film before they flew off. I was trying to figure out how birds with such a phenomenal wingspan could perch in the branches of that tree and not get all tangled up. It appeared that they somehow double-folded their wings under, so as to maneuver through the branches. Also, they were in the higher parts of the tree, so that when they flew off they would have the immediate altitude needed to soar off without flapping to death, as if taking off from the ground. Again, very similar to the Huffer film. Believe what you will, I'm here to say that even though the number of people who have seen them cannot even come close to the number of people that have seen a UFO, does not mean that we just saw a damn turkey buzzard. TF.
Thunderbird encounters, Illinois, Wisconsin. In 2011 I had 2 encounters with giant black birds. When I say giant, I mean I saw, at 2 separate times, birds that were all black in color with wingspans as big as a small plane 14 feet or bigger. My first encounter was early one summer morning when I was returning from the Quad Cities. I was traveling on my motorcycle on Route 30 just past I-88 when I noticed a big black object in the distance sitting in the middle of the road. I slowed my motorcycle down as I got closer to the object. At first I thought it was a black bear sitting in the road, but as I drove closer to the object I soon learned it wasn't a bear at all. The black object was a giant black bird which stood at least 4 to 5 feet tall. I was in awe and a little bit scared at the sight of the giant bird. I stopped my motorcycle immediately, hoping that the beast would not attack me. I then looked behind me in hopes of seeing anyone else who might be witnessing this amazing sight, but of course, just like in the movies, there was no one else on the road. Realizing it was just me and the giant bird, my heart began to race with thoughts of being attacked. I slowly pulled in the clutch and put the motorcycle in gear, just in case I had to make a quick getaway. The giant bird heard the noise of the gear shifting. It then looked directly at me for a brief moment, swung open its massive wings, which were at least 14 feet long, stood upright, then leaped off the ground and took off in flight. The bird looked like a small black plane, and when it flew by the trees the branches were swaying back and forth. I sat on my motorcycle watching the bird fly out of sight. I still do not know what kind of creature it was that I encountered. I have been looking online at several different kind of birds, but have yet to find the bird that I saw. The only bird that comes even close to what I saw was a condor, but the bird I saw did not have a head like a condor, nor did it look like that of a turkey buzzard or vulture, plus this creature was much larger than a condor. I almost wonder if this was just a freak of nature, or possibly a prehistoric bird. Could it be possible that there are still some type of prehistoric bird still in existence? Trust me, I am not crazy. I have recently seen pictures of the legendary Thunderbirds, and that is exactly what this bird looked like. My second encounter with a giant black bird was in August of 2011. My friends and I were traveling on our motorcycles near Lake Geneva, Wisconsin on some back road when all of a sudden a giant black bird appeared out of nowhere. The bird was obliviously mad at the noise of all of our motorcycles or something, because it took a dive at the couple who were traveling in front of my wife and I. The giant bird actually dove at them, causing them to swerve on their motorcycle. The bird then circled around them and tried to poop on them. Yes, I said poop on them. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. Luckily the poop missed them. I am not exaggerating when I say the stuff that came out of the creature was much larger than that of a human's. It was disgusting. On a positive note, there was 10 of us who witnessed this giant bird. Once again, none of us knew exactly what kind of bird it was that we encountered. Just like I had described before, the giant bird was all black with a massive wingspan, and its head was not like that of a condor. I couldn't believe that I was so fortunate to witness this massive bird again, and I was so happy that my friends were with me to see it as well. I had told my friends about the bird that I had seen in June, but I don't think that any of them really believed me. Now they know that I am not crazy and are obviously convinced that the giant black bird does exist. What is really kind of scary is that I do not believe that I saw the same bird twice. I truly believe that I saw 2 different birds that are of the same species. How I came to this conclusion is simple: the first bird was bigger than the second bird. I only hope that anyone who reads this takes this as a real encounter and just not as another fish story. I have 10 witnesses to confirm one of my sightings. I only wish I had a picture too, but obviously I can't take pictures while I am driving a motorcycle. Oh well, believe it or not, that is my story, and I am sticking to it. Please let me know if anyone else has encountered one of these giant black birds. Thank you, LF.
This is Lon Strickler. If you like this program, it would help us if you would give it a thumbs up. Then subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notification when we upload new first-person encounters. We have many more to come very soon. And by the way, if you have a suggestion or an experience of your own, please leave a comment.